feels like it's been a while, and I always say that. And it's been a long time that I've been feeling the call and the need to do something different. If you're someone who has been with me on this journey of the Heart's Frontier and of doing healing work, back when I was doing oracle readings on YouTube more regularly, it was years ago now, and it's really special to think about. If you scroll all the way back in my YouTube, it's me in my parents' shed in their backyard. And it was at a time that I was totally crushed because I had worked really hard to get to a place where I could have an in-person healing space, an actual location. I was physically treating people. I had that getting started, and then I had 2 other jobs, and the pandemic hit, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to run my business anymore the way that I had. And I know that a lot of you go through these types of times in your life where it's like there's so much upheaval, there's so much change and transition. And a lot of my clients and friends, they like the way that I handle change and transition in a sense because there's just so much of it. There feels like a lot of turnover in my life. Let me know if you feel the same, if you feel like you're someone who like runs in pretty quick cycles, or there's a lot of, it feels like rapid growth. But a lot of that I don't share because it's deeply personal and it's about the things that are like the hardest for me. So even though I think I'm like fairly vulnerable and fairly open online, a lot of the times there is like a real current of something that I don't feel is ready to share. And so I feel so excited that finally I'm ready to share some of these things that I've been holding in my heart for what feels like lifetimes. There's also something that's been calling me to change, to do a bit of a different format, to just sit and give you updates from me, from more of my own voice. I find when I'm on Zoom recording, I see my face, and so I'm trying to be like really pleasant, but then in reality, like we all have different sides to us. And maybe I haven't always shown the more authentic side of just Kate hanging out in a field. This field I spent a lot of time in recently. It's fields of wheat and all these lovely clovers and wildflowers and this long grass. And I've seen deer in this field, and I've seen heron in this field. I've seen other animals, cows, birds, other birds. It feels so rich and so luscious to be able to walk in a foreign country. I'm in Germany, and I'm socializing with people walking their dogs, or, you know, you see the same faces time and time again. It feels really giving. This land itself feels really giving. I read something online that said if you take your shoes off and put your bare feet on the earth right after a storm, then you're maybe collecting negative ions. And so it's right after a storm is a really beautiful time to actually go and receive the earth's energy. So that's where I'm broadcasting to you from for this. It feels like I've been needing to share a little bit more about what it is that's on the horizon, because a lot of what people have known me for in the past, like pendulums, intuition development, the empath energetics program, you might know of my shamanic healing work and my hypnotherapy work. They're, I would say, the newest additions. Those are the newest additions to the work that I'm offering right now. But something's really needed to shift where I didn't feel like this was the main calling. And yes, it's a main calling because my identity is that of an oracle and that of a healing practitioner. I will never lose that spirit, and I still really, really enjoy working with people, especially one-on-one, so I can give a lot of focused attention and adapt to what that person needs. And something I've noticed while traveling this year, maybe I'll catch you up on that first. So what I've done nomadically, maybe go check out I'll put this in another video, but I will say it now. Maybe I should put out this whole clip at some point, but it's probably better I just share the good bits. So on my nomadic, oh my goodness. This year has been very life-changing, very different than what I was expecting, very different than I'm used to. I've lived nomadically, yeah. I've done pet sitting, yeah. I've lived internationally, yeah. So it shouldn't maybe seem that different, but living internationally, nomadically, and finally being at a place where I'm not actually serving someone else or working for someone else is like so healing for me, because my heart has always been very entrepreneurial, and also this wandering spirit of mine really was wanting me to get out and explore. It was very challenging for me to stay in Scotland as long as I did. Even though I was planning on being there, there were a lot of things in me that were saying, like, this is not for very long and you're going to have to change what you're doing. So back last summer in July, I was planning a big festival for this healing center that I was working on. And it was really challenging because it did feel like I was sort of hauling it on my own, and that I didn't really maybe feel as though it was mine to share. It was more like I was responding to what other people wanted the festival to be and doing the organizing and admin for it. I'm sensing if it's too much rain, but I think we're going to be safe. I think we're good. So last summer, last July must have been, I heard this in my mind and I was like seeing visions of it, that I needed to be at Mount Shasta. I'd been thinking about it for years, off and on. Lots of different places though come to your mind. I mean, you think of going places, but you don't, like, I don't necessarily make the commitment to do it. I just think, oh, one day that'll be nice. And I was thinking more and more that it would be really cool to see if, like, the feeling I get about Mount Shasta does resonate, and if there's maybe some wisdom hidden for me there, because it is this root chakra of the earth, and many people have different beliefs about the spiritual happenings around that area. It's also, I found this out watching shows with my dad, it's one of the most popular places for Sasquatch or Bigfoot sightings. I think Bigfoot is what, they have different names, but I think Bigfoot. And so it's just endlessly fascinating to me, right? These places on our earth that hold a different energy, and how do we know until we're there? And so I felt this coming in my mind, and I quit the retreat center. I knew already that I was going to be quitting. So I thought I need to pin to something in the future so I know where I'm going. Because I knew I was opening up to nomadic living again for a stretch, because that was what felt right to me. I don't think I have commitment issues, but I have locational commitment issues. Sitting in one place for like 3, 6, 9 months, that's enough. I'm sure that'll change at some point. But yeah, that's certainly where things are at right now. So I saw in my mind Mount Shasta, and I thought, well, I'll just try and find a pet sitting gig near to Mount Shasta so I can still work and be, giving healing work. I can land fully. I like a slower pace of travel. I'm not really touristy. I just really love to absorb a new energy of a new place. It keeps me creative. And so I booked this California pet sit with goats and chickens and a rescue dog. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll just make my way there somehow. And the way I got there was so not the way I was thinking. I originally thought I was going to do like a car road trip, because that's what I was used to before. I lived out of an ambulance van before I moved to Scotland, if you don't know that. And so I thought, oh yeah, like that'd be really fun. But it just wasn't what Spirit had in store. And to be honest, I wouldn't have been able to work as well, because it is really challenging to like consistently focus on your work and try to make sure that you have enough resources as you go, and make up for, did I really need to buy a vehicle in Canada or America where I'm not planning on being for a long stretch of time? No. So it would have been more of a hassle probably to sell it. So I went to California. So before that, I stayed in Artesier, which is a small village in Scotland near Inverness, where I was living, where my great-grandfather was a church minister, reverend for over 40 years, and during the World Wars. And he has the same name as my father. And I didn't get to know my grandparents or any really relatives on either side of either family, but I can tell you more about that another day. So all of this ancestral healing work has been really immense because I don't know enough facts, right? And so what I can do is I can also search in research, and I can try to rely on feelings and visions and understandings. And I can also, I can consult others and do deep research and all this. So I was asking people questions who might have known him. Some did, which was really special because they're still around to be able to share stories. So lovely. So I will actually be going back there as well later this year. Okay, where was I? What's next? So I left the retreat center that I was working at that I thought was like going to be my dream job. So another crushing moment. I keep sharing these really devastating things to me, when in reality now I can really see why it's all worked out how it needed to. But in the time, doesn't it hurt so much when you just think something is like, going to bring you so much fulfillment or completion or, whatever it is we're searching for, acceptance even, was something I really struggled to receive in that place. And so I went to Artesier. I connected with my great-grandfather's spirit, the chapel that he used to speak at, and on the beach I would walk with these dogs that were really cute and very accepting of me. And I would walk along the beach and I would reflect and I would feel my great-grandfather's energies. I felt very supported in that time, and that was when Oracle Fest really picked up. So I'll tell you guys more about Oracle Fest soon as well. I guess this is just like the whole story of how I got from the Scotland Retreat Center to here. So sure, Artesier. Then I go to the airport thinking that I'm going to be able to fly to Amsterdam, which is where my mom's side is from, and connect with some of the family over there for a few days. And it didn't pan out because I really did not understand that you can't enter the country if you don't have plus a certain amount of months still left on your passport, and I needed a new passport. So because of that blunder, which is so unlike me, because I'm pretty orderly when it comes to official details and things like that. But this one is really funny because I thought, there's got to be a reason for this happening here and now. And again, it acted as another place that I could just put my pin further on down the line, right? So I had that California pet sit because I had it in my mind that I need to go to Mount Shasta. And then Oracle Fest starts picking up. And I meet Dr. Stephen Farmer, who's a lovely, lovely animal spirit guides expert, shamanic healing practitioner, psychotherapist for over 30 years, and just a really kindred spirit soul friend to me now. He's very special to me because I carried his book around for so many years and used it with all of my shamanic healing clients for power animal references. And what came through Doc Stephen when he wrote that book is just so helpful. So I've really had a lot of respect for him, and he said yes to Oracle Fest, and he was one of the first people. He was one of the first 3 or 4 people to say yes to Oracle Fest. So I knew something was really, really aligned. When I met with him over Zoom, we got along so well that we decided, maybe we'll meet up someday. And so I tucked it in the back of my mind. Okay, this is where he is, and it's near enough to where I was going. And so then that idea started to flesh out more and more. It no longer was this random kind of chaotic decision that I'd made last July. It was there's really more here. There's the taking care of goats, which I've always wanted to do. There's getting some sunshine, which I desperately needed. After the pandemic time started, I had to shut in and really just be on my computer and be isolated. And it was extremely, I know it was a tough time for a lot of people, but it was extremely intense as a lifestyle shift. And it's taken me a few years to start working out of that habit. I don't know if you find this, let me know. I find that since the pandemic had hit, my online time increased so much out of a necessity to connect that it was challenging to reroute that, especially living nomadically or living in a somewhat isolated place. You'd think a retreat center wouldn't be an isolated place, but when there isn't a retreat on, it's, I'm just me up at the top of the hill. And when there were retreats on, of course, you're not socializing the same way that you would to a cherished friend necessarily. Although I met many friends doing that job. So I had to fly right back from the UK to Canada. And I was visiting with friends, seeing people that I hadn't seen in a long time, like all year, or sometimes 2 years. And I spent some time with my family over the holidays. And it became clear to me that there's no real reason for me to be in Canada in the winter. It's like the darkest time to be there. And so a new awareness has opened up that at least this coming year, I'm not planning on being in Canada or Scotland during the winter time. I'm actually planning on being in Costa Rica. So if you're curious about Costa Rica and being in like a healing house, you just stay tuned because I will talk about that likely in August because I have a lot to talk about right now. Which for all of you who know me on a personal level shouldn't surprise you. I sent a message to a friend today, a chat through voice notes or things, and I was laughing in it. And she was like, "Oh, I love that you're laughing while you're telling this story." So I'm going to thank you, Christine, for for reminding me that people enjoy that. I enjoy that too. And so I'm trying to let myself just talk as I normally would and be a bit more free with you all, rather than just being like, here's what I'm doing, here's how I can serve you. Just be like, hey, how did I get here and what's going on and why? So I went and spent some time with my family, and it was nice to see them. And I do miss the presence and the connection. I miss like my mom's cooking and their dog and late night TV watching with my dad or drives, and it is really nice to be able to see my sister and her husband and their dog now when I go back. It's nice they're all in like a little pod, so thankfully they're easy to visit. So then I went to Kincardine, which is like a small Scottish village in Ontario, Canada. And I was pet sitting these 3 dogs. Maybe I'll share photos of the dogs as I'm talking about this, if I remember. Put it in the comments if I forget. So I was pet sitting these 3 dogs and putting together Oracle Fest. And so we had 28 speakers for our very first Oracle Fest, which is an online event. It's like an online spiritual, I hesitate to call it a summit because it feels like a really different energy. It feels like there's actually ceremony and story woven throughout the whole thing, and that there's a connection between all of us who are speakers and who continue with this Oracle Fest vision to help empower more inner oracles worldwide. So I was really, really blessed. It felt like we put a lot of open-hearted energy out into the world and said, we'll just see what happens. Let's have some fun. Let's just see what we can do here. To allow this vision to come through. So we had 28 speakers. It was 3 days, and I hosted all 3 days. It was so fun and so enriching. It was so powerful, so moving. It meant a lot to me, and it was like deeper and bigger than what I had originally anticipated. And yet there's so much that I can see of how it can grow and be improved, and what more I can do to support all of these speakers and all of us together. And in a way, this is coming from a desire to have more feminine economy, more shared community business, and more principles of like supporting one another through like a shared network. And I'm really jazzed by all the people who have joined so far as speakers and as attendees. There's some really, really special attendees, people who are like awakening onto their path, or who are practicing in one modality or another, but are feeling this like need to expand or need to connect. Maybe they see themselves being an Oracle Fest speaker one day, and so they're like taking part. Or it's like you just want this like-minded community. I know how difficult it can be living nomadically to find your right people. And so online is like a beautiful thing. I don't want to take away from how beautiful it is that we have this way to connect online. And so I aim to bring more and more Oracle Fest events out to the world. And in embracing this new, okay, now I'm doing Oracle Fest. Oh, now I'm not doing empath energetics. That was very, very clear to me that this is final. 7 rounds, 5 years of doing it, that's done. And it was so scary. It was really scary because I had worked really hard to like leave this situation, and I'd worked really hard to leave Scotland, and I was so concerned that I was gonna like not be successful and just be like on the streets or something. I don't know. I'm not sure like where it was going in my mind if something didn't work out, but it was very intimidating, very scary to me. Like coming face to face with this next version of self, this Oracle Fest founder self, this leader who didn't see herself as a leader at that time for a variety of reasons. I need to change, my foot's falling asleep. Oracle Fest was coming in swiftly, with vigor and with clarity. It was so clear, this and this and this, and this is what happens next, and here's what else. Mount Shasta is a part of this vision of Oracle Fest. Oracle Fest came to me through a series of visions on Oracle Mountain, and this continues to be how I relate to it, actually. It was a very deeply spiritual business because I need to relate to it on that level, otherwise something doesn't work. If there is an energy towards it that is from an outside perspective, that is not like responding to and receiving of Oracle Fest the vision, I would say Oracle Fest the vision is much bigger than myself, much bigger than all of us, right? An idea is bigger than my identity as a human. But we are charged with, you know, that idea found me. I've got skills. I'm the one who roots it down. And so a big process of trusting myself, trusting my visions over the years has been, how do I get myself out of the flippin' way so that I'm not standing in the way of this idea which wants to move itself through me? And almost I would feel it like getting stuck in me, in my body. And I'd go, oh no, where is that? And there would be some fear, this challenge, this resistance, this doubt. Right? This doubt in spirit for taking care of me, which is so rude. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that. Because it's so beautiful, really, how well taken care of I am. Like, I really feel as though I'm being hugged by the earth right now, cradled. And that when I'm walking, my feet are light because I feel supported, like spirit is lifting each foot up. I'm noticing it on my dog walks, actually, how supported I am. Every step, physically and metaphorically as well. So what happened after that? Okay, then I needed to crash. Then I needed some chill time because I had moved a lot. Like, I had really, that was a lot of shifting to do. Suddenly, woof, you know, in 2-3 months, this big event and new business was all started. I was working with people. I was closing empaths. You know, it was a big changes. So I needed a rest, and I needed downtime to kind of go into the cave, like the Oracle cave, the hermit's cave, the spiritual hermit, to be in, what is it? What is it that I am? What is it that is in here? What is it that's out there? If I'm just feeling, if I'm just silent, and if I'm just taking care of myself. I worked really a lot, too many, we'll say, maybe a little too many hours on the computer straight, supporting Oracle Fest getting out in the way that I saw it going out. I love that. I love driving in, like, passionate, kind of obsessed a little bit. I think like stubborn, optimistic, casual obsession is really like an entrepreneurial spirit thing. But I knew that I wasn't going to keep doing that. I was like, I cannot just run at this frequency. That's running my body into the ground. That's not right, right? So, because I really wasn't able to take care of myself physically the way that I wanted to in that time. I did feel so healed and so energized and so much better after. And I spent like most of February and March just going like 5-6 classes at the gym. And yeah, extra dog walking, extra rest. Oh my gosh, the rest that I've needed this year. Are you guys finding that too? I feel like I've needed more rest this year than in years past. Maybe because it's a numerology 9 year. So we're closing a lot of doors, and maybe needing a time of rest before all these new seeds. Ooh, I made a little slug friend. I'm gonna have to share him with you all. Let me show you this slug friend. Okay, so where was I? Well, I was just talking to you about the numerology 9 year and how there's a lot of closings, a lot of endings, a lot of chapters just finito, and then a lot of new beginnings as well on the way. So every time we feel like, okay, good, we cleared something, we're time for a new beginning, it's almost like there's more. Like there's even more at the bottom of the barrel that needed to be hauled out, and really getting into the edges, scraping all the sides so that everything we put into that new container is like fresh, clean. It's raining again. I mean, it feels like I called that fresh and clean. I have myself to blame. Don't step on a slug, everybody. safe. Okay. This weather, to me, is actually really beautiful. It's reminding me of Scotland. Not super ideal for the camera, but it's like misty. We're just going to trust it. Just pray. Pray for the tech gods and pray for the rain to be done for now. You know what's really interesting? There's this bird that keeps flying, and it's flying but moving still. Let me know if you're a bird fan, what kind of bird that might be. But it's catching my eye a lot, that it's like moving its wings and yet not going anywhere. And it's funny because I keep thinking of like you all. I keep thinking of the collective of people that I speak to and who I will speak to. This is the energy I tune into a lot because that's what's relevant in my life, right? I'm not actually going to speak to the whole world, but if I'm going to run into you, or if I'm going to run into you in the future, that's the energy that I want to support and provide healing to, as well as myself, all the time. So I was thinking about you all when I was seeing this bird flapping its wings and not going anywhere. I was thinking of the amount of people that I've heard recently, this year especially, who are frustrated, who feel like they just are like, they're getting wins. Like they're able to see that progress is here and that they can make changes. And yet they'll try and make a change and it's sort of like, boo, 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 boo. But I think it's like a lot about perspective, because we're just not used to seeing and celebrating what's in this new era for ourselves, right? If we think about this, I mean, it's not all about it being a numerology 9 year, but there is a lot of truth to how this energy is playing out right now. There's a lot of chapters closing. There's also a lot of political unrest. There's a lot of violence being really brought to the forefront, which is beneficial largely for the collective and really, really tough for sensitive beings to feel and to process. And so we are carrying way more than what is ours to carry. So if I can suggest one thing to you, it's that you tune into the energy of what it is you're meant to be here and speak towards, and what you're meant to do in order to be putting a positive impact, you know, back to society, back to this world. That is the most empowering. It can feel very, very disempowering to see all the things that we really want to change about the world and feel as though we have no role in that. So it is really empowering to connect to your intuition, to connect to visions and insights to where your role is. And more for me, I'm getting more and more for me lately, I am seeing a much deeper way of being able to give back. So there's nothing really wrong with what I was doing before, but there was so much more depth that was needing to be brought to my healing work. But if I'm going to work on a book, a concept, if I'm going to really deeply study and do one-to-one retreats, another offering, which I'll tell you about soon, maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow I'll come out in the morning.